Right from the start, railways always created very strong feelings. Many warmly welcomed the new age, but others were violently opposed to the iron horse. The basic steam engine can be traced back to the 18th century, when it began life as a stationary engine, used for pumping water or hauling loads up mine shafts. It wasn't until 1825 that the iron railway and the steam engine came together, under Geordie engineer George Stephenson. On September 27th that year, the world's first public steam railway opened between Stockton and Darlington. Locomotion is a steam locomotive at its most basic, with its two cylinders each linked to a pair of driving wheels by overhead beams and rods. But it was obvious to everyone that this was a quantum leap over anything that had gone before. Locomotion was powerful enough to haul 34 wagons with great success and panache in front of huge crowds all along the line. In 1975, a modern reproduction of Locomotion was built for the Stockton and Darlington Railway's 150th anniversary celebrations at nearby Shildon. Besides being driven by separate cylinders, the pairs of driving wheels are connected by coupling rods. If there's one pioneer engine even more famous than Locomotion, it must be Rocket, designed by George Stephenson's son, Robert. The world's first passenger railway, the Liverpool and Manchester, was being built, and in 1829 the directors set up the Rainhill Trials on a completed section of the line. They wanted to determine the best kind of locomotive for their new intercity railway. Rocket won hands down. Gone were the overhead beams and rods of Locomotion. Both cylinders acted directly onto the same pair of wheels. There was now a long tube boiler, a separate firebox at one end and a smoke box at the other. The basics of the modern steam locomotive were all now successfully combined. For the first time, man could now safely travel faster than a horse could gallop. It really was the start of a new age. Rocket was retired to a permanent home at the Science Museum in London. But in the 1920s, it was brought out to star in this pageant in North Wales, propelled by another historic engine, Cornwall, a Francis Trevithick design dating back to 1847. As a passenger railway, the Liverpool and Manchester needed speed and steady riding from its locomotives, rather than freight hauling power. Lion was built for use on the line by Todd, Kitson and Laird of Leeds in 1838, and it was still able to raise steam for the 150th anniversary of the line in 1980. Luckily, Lion had ended its life as a stationary boiler with the Mersey Docks and Harbour Board, where it was employed right up until 1920. Fortunately, by then the historic value of the locomotive had been realised, and Lion was restored to full working order in 1938. With a tall, elegant chimney and enormous haystack firebox, Lion achieved immortality and international fame as a star in the 1953 Ealing comedy The Titfield Thunderbolt. Slightly younger, being built in 1846, is number 3 of the old Furnace Railway, a Coppernob design from Berries of Liverpool, so called because of the copper-covered firebox, which is of the haystack variety, just like Lion. Number 3 now resides at the National Railway Museum in York, but it stood for many years on a plinth in an enormous glass case at Barrow-in-Furness Station, where the engine survived a heavy air raid during World War II. The sight of the locomotive next morning, standing only slightly scratched amid the ruins, is said to have done the town's morale a power of good. It still carries shrapnel damage today. Though barely 20 years younger, Coppernob's more modern shape is very different indeed from the beam engine on wheels appearance of Locomotion.